Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about a big mistake the New York Jets made that the Carolina Panthers capitalized on today. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On January 9th, 2019, the New York Jets seemed to be down to two head coaching candidates after firing Todd Bowles. It was between Mike McCarthy and Matt Rhule. Here's who I wanted them to pick.
Of the two, like I said, I really like Rule. I want to go with him.
Rhule looked like the frontrunner even at one point during this day. But for some reason, the Jets wanted Mike Maccagnan to pick Rhule's coordinators. At the time, keep in mind, Maccagnan's teams were 24 and 40 from 2015 through the 2018 season. He kept his job, helped out in the head coaching search, and then would go on to get fired. But nonetheless, he was still, doesn't change anything, 24 and 40. And Chris Johnson said, I want you to force coordinators down the throat of our potential head coach candidate. Why? I don't know. So Matt Rhule obviously wanted Sean Ryan to be his offensive coordinator. And if you don't know who Sean Ryan was, he worked with the Texans in 2017, 2018, and then the Lions this past year in 2019. Here's some numbers offensively from Ryan. With the Texans, he was the quarterback's coach in 17 and 18. Deshaun Watson got hurt in 2017, his rookie year. But nonetheless, they were still 17th in points and 11th in points in the 2 years that he was the quarterback coach for Deshaun Watson. He helped develop Deshaun Watson at the quarterback position. This past year, as the Lions quarterback coach, his team was 18th. The Lions were 18th in terms of points in the NFL. One thing though, half the season, 8 games, Matt Stafford was hurt. So he did it with 2 backup quarterbacks. And when Stafford was healthy, boy, did he have a good year. Stafford threw for 2,499 yards. He threw for 19 touchdowns and a YPA over 8. He had a really solid year. That's a pace of 38 touchdowns and nearly 5,000 yards. That's insane. And for whatever reason, the Jets said, nope, can't have this guy. We want instead Adam Gase and Darrell Loggins leading our 22-year-old quarterback, 21 at the time, 21-year-old quarterback, which is just mind-numbing. But nonetheless, they said, hey, we want to pick your coaching staff. And Rhule said, no, I'm all set, man. I'll go back to Baylor where I had some success. And that's what I want to talk about, his success at the college level. With Temple, where he started out, he took over a really bad team. First year went 2-10. Then progressed. He went 6-6 the following year, big turnaround. Then 10-3, then 10-4. Back-to-back seasons of 10 wins at Temple. And he coached Robbie Anderson, who is a free agent, but he is still a member of the New York Jets. And Robbie Anderson has said nothing but great things about Matt Rhule. He loves Matt Rhule. Would have been nice maybe to bring him in. Then he goes over to Baylor, who is in the midst of one of the worst scandals in college football. Rape allegations, sexual assault, everything that is awful about collegiate sports, the things that you hate to see come out, and one recruit stays. One of his recruits stay. The rest go. He goes 1-11 in his first year, goes 7-6 the next year. Massive improvement. I wanted the Jets to hire him after that 7-6 season. 2019, 11-3. His team went 11-3 and played in the Sugar Bowl. Pretty impressive stuff coming from 1-11 just a couple of years ago. If you want to turn your program around, you bring in Matt Rhule. And if you can do it at the college level, I'm fairly confident he could do it at the NFL level as well. That's why the Panthers gave him such a long-term deal. They gave him 6 years at like $70 million with incentives, really between $60 and $70 million with the incentives. They are really all in on this guy, and that's what the Jets should have done. They always talk about changing their culture, and their culture really never changes. It's just an endless carousel of coaches and GMs because they don't do it the right way. They don't fire both at the same time. It's very rarely that they do that. The last 2 times or 3 times they made switches, they really don't. Except for when they fired Idzik and Rex at the same time. But before that, they fired Tenenbaum, kept Rex. Then they brought in Idzik to go with Rex. They cut bait with both, brought in Bowles and Maccagnan, and then let Bowles go. Was going to keep Maccagnan. They hired Gase, and then they fired Maccagnan, and then they brought in Joe Douglas, who he was paired with Gase now. So everything is done totally backwards for the New York Jets. But last year, they could have gone about it the right way. They could have fired both Maccagnan and Bowles, hired a new GM, and potentially hired Matt Rhule, and let him pick his staff. I would be so much more confident in the New York Jets' direction if it was Joe Douglas and Matt Rhule leading the charge with Sean Ryan as your offensive coordinator, rather than Joe Douglas, who I'm still a big fan of, Adam Gase, and Dowell Loggins. That's scary. For the Jets and the Giants, it really comes down to stupidity, why he isn't here. For the Jets, they were trying to force feed coordinators down his throat. For the Giants, well, they kept their bumbling idiot of a general manager. He just realized that analytics should be a part of the game, and hired 4, in his words, computer people. Crazy that this man is still a GM in 2020 now, but nonetheless, and I'm sure not too many people are going to want to work with Dave Gettleman. They made their choice. Matt Rhule is going to the Carolina Panthers. You're looking at one of the newest Carolina Panthers fans. Am I really a Panthers fan? No, but I'm obviously going to root for his success. As long as the Panthers aren't playing the Jets, then I'll be rooting for them to win football games because I am a Matt Rhule fan and I am rooting for his success in the NFL. Maybe Adam Gase proves me wrong in 2020. I'd be surprised, but nonetheless, I really think the Jets made a really big mistake last year by not hiring Matt Rhule and letting him pick his staff because he wanted the job and then decided to go back to Baylor. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, or you can get at me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll talk to you next time.